These tomatoes should be headed to supermarket shelves nationwide. Instead, they're on their way to the rubbish tip.
I'm devastated. Every day is hundreds of thousands of dollars, and this will end up being tens of millions of dollars of loss for us.
Over 43 hectares north of Adelaide, Perfection Fresh is growing more than 1 million tomato plants. But the huge glasshouse operation is under indefinite lockdown because of the confirmation, for the first time in Australia, of the tomato brown rugose virus.
Can any of these tomatoes be sold at the moment?
No, they can't. They've all got to be wasted due to the order that we received from primary industry, and we've got to throw away beautiful fruit like this. My heart breaks for the people that we've got to let go. We've already let go of about 250, but there's unfortunately more to come.
Perfection Fresh tested plants in July after noticing some abnormalities. It self-reported to authorities after the virus was confirmed.
So we removed somewhere around 10 to 12,000 plants. The ones that have been pulled out now are predominantly plants that are free of any virus. They're perfectly healthy plants.
One other grower and a nursery in the region have also had plants test positive. South Australia's Primary Industries Department wants the virus eradicated.
So tomato brown rugose virus poses no threats to human health. That's really important. So the tomatoes are fine to eat. What it does do is affect the appearance. It makes them mottled and so on. But what it also does in terms of the industry is potentially reduces the yield of tomatoes by up to 75%.
The virus was first detected in the Middle East in 2014 and has since been reported in Europe, China, Mexico and the USA. It also affects capsicums and chilies.
Nobody I speak to, whether it be North America or Europe, has told me that their yield is reduced by 75%. Look, we support biosecurity measures, but this virus is not, in our opinion, and those more expert than I around the world, is not able to be eradicated. The UK claimed to have eradicated it twice. What does that mean?
State governments have reacted swiftly out of fear of potential spread. Tasmania and New South Wales have put restrictions on the importation of tomatoes from the 3 affected properties. Queensland and Western Australia have taken the drastic step of banning all tomatoes from South Australia.
So look, they've taken a real risk-averse approach, and I guess that's understandable. At the moment, we've not had it in Australia before, and so it's in the interests of all growers across the country that if it can be eradicated, that it is.
The virus has been traced back to seeds imported in May this year that were sold to growers. The Federal Agriculture Department says they came with certifications they had tested negative overseas for the tomato brown rugose virus.
We are very much reliant on the honesty of the providers overseas.
Last financial year, the Federal Agriculture Department tested about 40% of imported tomato seed lines.
They are short-staffed. Volume alone creates risk. If you've got 1,000 tonnes of seed coming in, you can manage it. If you've got 10,000 tonnes of seed coming in, it's a very different kettle of fish.
In a statement, the Federal Agriculture Minister Julie Collins said her government had increased funding to biosecurity and that importers would pay more to provide long-term certainty.
The virus has come in here and it's cost 3 people a lot of money. It's not our fault, it's certainly not my fault, but someone's to blame and someone needs to pay compensation.
Not far from Perfection Fresh is this tomato farm, which has also been affected by the virus. The family-owned business has let 30 staff go and is about $1 million out of pocket so far.
We had a couple of positive results in 2 houses out of probably about 20 or 25 odd houses. We made the decision as a family to scrap the season thus far and try and start again.
But starting again isn't that simple, as states and the Commonwealth have yet to agree on a process so growers can prove their property is free of the virus.
Was Australia ill-equipped to deal with this virus?
This particular disease wasn't on that highest priority list because it wasn't necessarily the highest expected in terms of coming into the country.
We know this virus has existed overseas for 10 years now, but you're saying it wasn't a priority. Why not?
So there's a risk matrix which is developed, and so we use all the available evidence to work out what are the diseases most likely to come into Australia and their impacts. So tomato brown rugose virus has been obviously a risk, but not in that very top list of priorities in terms of the likelihood and the impact.
I would have thought that there would have been a better preparation for the inevitable introduction of the brown rugose virus, because it was not a matter of if, it was always a matter of when.
It's also taken weeks for samples from other South Australian growers to be tested, because the only 2 accredited laboratories are Interstate.
We know that growers here import seeds to propagate. Shouldn't primary industries have been prepared for this?
Well, there are many hundreds, if not thousands, of diseases and pests. We can't be ready and accredited for every single one of those. That's simply not achievable.
That's cold comfort for Perfection Fresh CEO Michael Simonetta. He says the longer this drags on, the more it'll cost not only the tomato industry, but consumers as well.
Tomato prices will increase. We're 30% of the Australian market, so it will put more pressure on cost of living crisis, and there's no reason for it because these tomatoes are perfectly safe, perfectly edible.
I know there's a small number of growers who say, look, we should just let it rip and go straight to management. But while we've still got the evidence showing it's only 3 businesses currently infected, then it's really important that we do everything we can for eradication.